Hi guys. I came down here to the farm to put some trail cameras back out. I haven't had them all since opening day gun because during the gun season they have a tendency to grow legs, although I haven't had any issues down here. So I've got one of my older video cameras that I'm gonna give you a little tour of the woods, I think, and we'll see how it turns out. But it's not a high def camera, so I don't use it very much, but I don't want to deplete the battery on my cell phone, which I'm doing this opening on. So anyways, I hope you like it. And this is the trail that I come down in past the horse barn. I park up there by those pines and come back down. This right here is the first bean field. As you can see, the farmer did not even harvest these beans this year. They just were not big enough. So I thought the deer would feed heavily on them, but I was quite surprised that the deer did not really utilize the beans as much as I thought they would. But they did come in and eat the grasses along the edge of the field and someplace. As we continue our walk down the trail, you can see the four-wheeler tracks up there ahead of us. The area to my right has quite a few rubs. This is traditionally an area that the bucks do rub. This is sumac, which is one of the most soft and most fragrant that they like on this farm. There's not any cedars to speak of here, but the sumac traditionally gets rubbed. There's a little tiny trail that goes through here to the next bean field. And I do believe that this is used mostly at night, although I haven't put a trail camera on it to check it out. But you can see the variety of old and new rubs. As we enter this other bean field, this is the north bean field. The property line for this farm is this hedgerow right here. The farmer that leases the land also leases the field on the other side of that hedgerow, also had beans in there. This right here is the bean field that I had my blind set up, my pop-up blind down at the far end. And I did see deer just every time I was in that blind, just no shooters. Here's the gateway that goes into that first field that we were in. As you look down to the south, you'll see another gateway into the third field. This is the biggest field on the property, and this is the field where most of my stands are located around the back side of it. I used to have one ladder stand on one of the corners, but I found it really wasn't productive. Even in the evening, I didn't see many deer come onto this field. And at the times when I was walking out after the hunt, I don't recall ever causing a deer to run out of the field. They just don't seem to use this in daylight or in the evening hours, or the daylight hours to speak of. Early in the season is another story, but But this gateway right here goes into that major field, and way down on the far edge, the south edge, is where the oaks are, and that is where most of my hunting is. I also want to tell you this hedgerow right here, there's a little drainage that goes down through there. And what I found is the deer like to bed in that on occasion. I did see a nice 6-point go in there and bed down on a windy day as I was coming out of the fields. So now as we look down towards the oaks, you'll see there's that hay bale blind that I told you that the deer were walking around in front. The wind has kind of got it upside down. And one of the guys, Tommy, has a ladder stand down there on the far end. The problem with that stand is the wind is always blowing your scent out onto the field from that. I don't think that he's ever killed a deer out of that stand. As we walk over to the east property line, there's a trail that's going to be over here in this corner that comes out from that first field, and it's one that the guys use to bring their bad boy buggy down through, as you'll see here in a second. It's just adequate for that. I do walk in and out on this, and the deer, believe it or not, use it quite regularly, but I believe it's all at night. So, as we come back out into the main field, Mark's property line is this hedgerow to my left. The farmer that actually leases the fields from Mark also leases fields from 2 other properties here. And there's another field here to the left which leads up to the road area. I do not have permission to hunt that land, however I do pass through there. Early in the morning, I don't want to walk down through the main field. I'm just on the inside of the oaks now. I didn't show you the trail coming in because I didn't think it was important. But this is a mixture of hardwood. It's got oaks, both red and white. It has maples, ash, walnut, hickory, and some cherry in there. As you can see, visibility is really good. The oaks are not a big piece of land. It's approximately, I want to say, 300 yards wide and maybe 500 yards long. Surrounded by bean field to the north, swamp bedding area to the west, a brush lot CRP field, which the deer love to bed in too. That's to the south. And then to the east, there's another CRP field, which is what they call the racetrack. The farmers' sons used to come down here and ride dirt bikes and 4-wheelers. And they had a racetrack over here in the CRP field to the east. And thank God they quit doing that. When I first started hunting here, they used to ride every weekend, even during the bow season, and they would come in here. Now here's a ladder stand that I put up a little bit later in the year because I saw a lot of deer come along the edge of this field from my main tree stand. and this tree stand was in the corner of the bean field and really wasn't producing anyways, so I put it here. Also, I thought my son might come out this year and hunt with me, and that would give him a good stand to sit in if I was in my regular stand. So the deer passed by right here. You can see that lay down there. That kind of directed the deer right down this trail that we're going to walk, right down through there. And once again, that provides you with a 20-yard shot right there. The deer do on occasion go right down the edge of that woods line, but there's also shooting lanes cut so that it is possible to get a decent shot 15 to 20 yards behind you. Coming up on my main hunting area here with a ladder stand that has been very successful for me over the years. You can see some treetops laying down there. I had some treetops come off last year, which actually funneled the deer very well right through next to the stand and around it. This is an 18-foot ladder stand. As you can see around, there's a beautiful white oak tree right here. And there's another one. And over there's some more. And right over in there, there's some. So it concentrates the deer in this area when the acorns are hitting the ground. And what I found was this year, the acorn drop happened right in the first part of October. This tree right here is very significant because the deer come off that field up there, the bean field, and they like to walk right down through here. And they'll come right down through this area and they'll come right by that tree. And where this puddle is right there, that is where the 8-point that I shot 4 years ago, this is where he dropped. And again, he's 20 yards from my ladder stand. Right up there, where that puddle is, there's a trail that goes through there, and that's where I killed my 7-point the first year that I hunted this property. And they all come through this area right here, and they head up to the brush lot bedding area to the south. Here is one of the rubs that was established this year after October 1st. And you can tell by the size of that tree and the height of the rub that there's a major buck. Compare that to my hand size. He was tearing it up. The nice thing about it is, he's 30 yards from my ladder stand right there. I never did see that buck that was making it, And even though I did have a trail camera there, I never got any pictures of a great buck, so I'm not sure why. But I know he passed through there several times. We're on the back side of the oaks now, where the deer mostly enter the brush lot. I do not have permission to hunt this property, and I would not go into that property at all during the deer season. However, the landowner does not mind you walking around in there looking for sheds and just checking things out. I make the trip into here probably 3 or 4 times a year. Deer just love to lay up there in that goldenrod, especially on a sunny, cold day. They can just lay in there and let that sun hit them, and it provides them good enough cover. Should any person walk in there, or maybe even a coyote, once they know that there's a presence of some danger in there, they can get out of there in a hurry. Our bucks in this area seem to carry their antlers quite late in the season. I've never found a shed antler in the month of January or February here, but usually there's a lot of snow cover also. But what I have found is that these deer most generally have their antlers on until the first part of March anyways. I've even seen bucks in the middle of March still with their antlers. This right here is one of the main trails that they use. There's 2 of them here with a crisscross. There's one going from east to west and the north to south. It'd be a good spot for a trail camera, don't you think? And there it is. I just put her on. Hopefully we'll get some pictures of some good bucks here. That's a Wild Game Innovation camera, by the way. All my trail cameras are Wild Game Innovations. I have a love-hate relationship with them. That's the main trail coming into this. backtracking a little bit because I wanted to show you the scrape that was up here on the ground. As you can see now, we got some rubs down through here also. About 3 years ago, this area was heavily rubbed on a lot of big trees. Whatever become of that buck, I don't know, because to my knowledge, the big buck that was in this area had not been harvested by anybody. Now, whether he died of old age, or he got hit by a car, or traveled out of the area, I have no idea. And here's the scrape from this season. He had it opened up pretty good, and then of course the licking branch above. That's the trail headed back towards the oaks, so it's right in there. You're now looking at the second bean field. This is the one that runs east to west. And I'm actually standing where my pop-up blind was installed earlier this year. My old jack decoy was right out there, the other side of the water, right about there. And that's just 20 yards. Most of the deer came from my left-hand side. There's the spot where she was. And that's where the deer came out, right over there. And you'll notice there's an abundance of water down here. Whenever we get a lot of rain, everything drains down in here and it hangs right here in this area. Makes it kind of tough walking. On the other side of this hedgerow is another property. Mark only owns to the hedgerow. And you can see some small trees over there on the left-hand side. They're on the other side of a drainage ditch. There's a trail coming in right here. And then right down along the side of that drainage ditch, the deer come down off that other bean field and come right down along the edge of this and down in here. There's a crabapple tree over here that had some really small crab apples on it this year. It's the first time I've ever seen them there. And I have fertilized this tree in the past. So it looks like probably this year I'm going to fertilize it some more. I'll take and put some on in the spring and then some in late summer and see if we can't get more crab apples there. We're looking east now, up towards where we walk in. And as we go along this edge, I've always wanted to put a stand down here, but I just never have. That's why I use my pop-up blind where I did. But as I'm looking at the trees here, if I were to hunt next season, which is a possibility, I'm feeling good. My wife is feeling good. We're not leaving on our Florida trip until mid-November next year. So there's a chance that I may be able to archery hunt again in the 2019 season. And I guarantee you that I'm going to put a ladder stand up down here on this side of the field. There's a tree right there that looks to be about the best. I will have to do a little bit of trimming, but that's okay. Mark don't care. The base of my ladder will be right there, right about where that branch comes off. So we'll clear that out a little bit and we'll install that ladder stand in the spring. I might even do that before turkey season because I like being out there in these woods in April. While in that stand, 90% of the time the wind is going to be in my face. So I moved on the inside edge of the woods and installed another camera. I've had a camera on this tree before and I've gotten a lot of pictures. In fact, I already have a picture of what I believe is an 8-point. It was kind of fuzzy. It was in the middle of the night, and like I say, it's a Wild Game Innovation camera. I have a love-hate with them. They have great battery life and they always work, but the problem is at night the pictures are kind of fuzzy. But it shows that area right there where there's several trails that come together.